Hi and welcome back to this lesson. So in today's lesson we are going to talk about iteration, the condition controlled loops, while and do until loops. So this is different from the count control loops, because in the count control loops we know exactly how many times we need to repeat, but in these condition control loops we don't know exactly how many times we have to repeat. So based on a situation of a condition, a condition that we are going to create inside these loops, the program will run that loop until that condition is met. So they get repeated while the condition is met. We have while loops. So while a condition is true, the loop continues. While a condition is met, the loop continues. So this is an example of the while loop. So for example, we have x equal to 5, okay, and we say while x is greater than 0. So this is the condition, and this condition is to continue the loop. So if this condition is true, the loop will start and will continue. So while x is more than 0, which in this case x is 5 and 5 is greater than 0, it will print hello x is and x. So it will print, for example, 5, and in here we are reducing the x by 1. So this is the condition controller. So inside this kind of loops you should always have some method of the controlling the condition. Otherwise, if you don't have this line here without this and having only while x is greater than 0, print hello x is x and end while, this loop will continue forever. It's an infinite loop, we call it. So this line, x equal to x minus 1. So if it is 5, x becomes 4. Then again it goes up. X4 is greater than 0. Again it will print x, which is now 4. Then again x, it will get reduced. So x becomes 3. And again 3 is more than 0. And it goes until the x becomes 0. So when it is 0, 0 is not greater than 0, 0 is not greater than 0, but 0 is greater than or equal to 0. So in that situation, we exit from the loop. So while this condition is met, we continue, the loop continues. And any command you put between these two, between while and end while. So in the pseudocode language of the OCR, we use while and end while. So end of this while is end while. Similar to this, we have these do untils. So do untils, the difference is, first of all, do until it runs at least once. The while loop, it may not run. If the condition is not met, it will not run, but the do untils, they run at least once. And it repeats the loop until the condition is met. So the condition should be false always to continue the loop. As soon as the condition is met, it will exit from the loop. Okay, so that is the very important difference. So in here, let's do this example. So x is equal to 5. We have do print hello x is, whatever x is, it will print 5. And 5 is equal to, x is equal 5 minus 1, which becomes 4. Until x is less than 0. Okay? Until x is less than 0. Okay? X is 4. Is 4 less than 0? No, it is not. So this condition is not met. This is the condition to exit from the loop. So this should be always false for the loop to continue. And as soon as this condition is met, then we exit from this loop. So in this case, whenever the x becomes 0, because 0 is not less than 0, so it will exit from here. So these two code, this part of the code using while and this one using do until, they are exactly doing the same thing. Let's try this out in the code stations to get a better idea of how it works. All right, so I created the same thing. So I have x, capital X equal to 5, and I have do, and I have print x is, whatever x is, x equal to x minus 1 until x is less than 0. If I run this, you see that hello x is 5 4 3 2 1, and also it prints the 0. So when the x is becoming 0, it will print the 0. Now if I try to write exactly this one using a while, okay, so I'm going to say x is 5, and instead of do, I'm going to create while x is greater than 0. You say print x is whatever the x is equal to x minus 1, and I say here end while. So that's the end of the while. We are putting it here. And so let me print out here that from this line is end while, and this is going to be a print. Below is the while example. While example. Okay. If I run this, now below is the while example. So you see that 5 4 3 2 1. It did not print the 0, right? Because as soon as the x becomes 0, then this condition met is out, because 0 is not greater than 0, so it will not print 0. But to make this similar to this, I have to make if the x is while x is greater than or equal to 0. Now this one also prints the 0. So this is the two loops doing this exactly the same thing, and using this is using do untils, and this one is using while and end while. And in general, in most of the programs that we write, we more tend to use while instead of do untils. But remember, do untils are very good because it runs at least once. So in some situation you need to have your loops to run at least once. So in those kind of examples or questions, you may need to think about using the do untils instead of while. Okay, so let's go back to our lesson, and we continue from there with a couple of more examples. All right, so we discussed about the while and do untils. Okay, so this is a good one. The loop pattern. So this is the exam style kind of question. So Taylor is writing an algorithm to record the results of an experiment. Taylor needs to be able to enter a numeric value which is added to the total, which initially starts at 0. Every time she enters a value, the total is output. The algorithm repeats until the total is over 100. Okay, so let's get this into our code station and we'll continue from there. All right, so let's continue. So I put the question here. So we need to ask Taylor. So Taylor needs to enter a value of the numeric value of the experiment. We need to store that into some variable, right? So let's store that inside a variable called value, and we need to convert that to a number. So I use integer. I expect that these values are all going to be integers, and we use input to ask the input. Please enter the result of the experiment. The result of experiment. Okay, now here we needs to be able to enter numeric value which will be added to a total. So we need a variable called total also, and let's initialize it as 0, because I don't know what this total is going to be, but I have to keep adding to this total. So I started at 0 because program also says, the question says that you have to start at 0. So I created this total and set it to 0. Now every time we have to add this to the total, right? Because it says this numeric value which is added to a total which initially starts with 0. So I'm going to say total is equal to total plus value. So whatever value we are getting, we are adding it to the total. Every time she enters a value, the total is output. Okay, so I have to print output also. Print the total is, and we print the total here. Okay, so we are printing the total. Now this line here it says the algorithm repeats until the total is over 100. Until the total is over 100. So here I started the total with 0, so I can write it in this way, that while total is less than or equal to 100, do all of these, and I put the end while here. So while total, this total value which is starting from 0, it is less than 100, I have to keep asking for the number, this experiment of the value of the experiment, and as soon as it became over 100, we should exit. So I can print here, print end of program, total is over 100. I can print total also here, total. Let's run this now. So it will say, please enter the result of the experiment. I entered 10. So total is 10. Now I enter 20. Now the total became 30, right? Now I add 1. So now total is 31. I add 30 again. So it becomes 61. I add 5 extra. Now it is 66. Now in this case, now I want to exit from the loop. So I enter a number which makes the total over 100. So I enter 50. Now it says total is 116. End of program, total is over 100. 116. So this is working exactly as we expected. Now let's try to write this using do untils. So instead of this, so I remove this line and I remove this line. So this is the program. So we have to repeat these 3 lines until we are over 100. So I will say do. Do is a keyword, so we don't need to have anything after. Until, okay, now what is the condition that I have to exit from this loop? Until total is greater than 100. So if the total goes beyond 100, we will exit from this loop. Now I will enter 2, total is 2, 4, total is 6, 80. Now total is 86. I say 10 more, so now it's 96. I add a 5 to it. Total is 101. End of the program, right? Total is over 100 and it became out of it. So we tested both while, so while this condition is met, continues the loop. Do until, do these lines, whatever I have from between do and until, whatever I have between these lines, which are these 3 lines, do this until this condition is met, until the total is over 100. When the total is over 100, exit from this loop, exit from this between these lines and continue the program. Continue the program. This is line of 14. Line of 14 will print this last print and the program gets over. Right, so that was a good question of the while. All right, let's try another question, this password attempts. So this is a good question. You may get this kind of questions in the exam. This is very common. So a user must enter the correct password to log in. The correct password is given in the program. Let's create some passwords. The password is GVW0, for example. Keep asking for the password until the password is correct. Count how many attempts were made to display it at the end. Okay, so I'm going to first of all I create a constant of correct underscore password, and I will assign that to this. So I'm creating as a constant because I'm not going to change that again. And I need also the total attempts. So attempts, I create a variable, I assign it to 0. Now I need to keep asking for the password, right? So I will store that as a password from the user. Password is equal to input, and we say please enter the password. Okay, now we have to check that if password is equal to correct password, then we have to exit from this loop, right? We have to do something. I don't write it now, and this is our end if. Now I have to repeat this. Until the password is correct, right? So I need to create I will create a while loop. So for these kind of questions, you can always create something using a technique of the flags. So flags is like, you may remember, when the trains are running, you have a red flag. If the red flags or red signal, you see, if the signal is red, the cars will stop. If the signal is green, the cars will pass, right? So I use something called a flag. So flag equal to 1, and I create that variable also here. I create that, I assign that to, I create that variable flag equal to 1, and I say while this flag is 1, do all of these things. So keep asking for the password, ask the user for the password. Okay, if password is correct password, then I will just change the value of this flag. I will change the value of the flag to 0. Okay, and if it is not, before the end if, I have to put the else, right? Because I need to count these attempts, right? So I will increase the attempts. Let me make this also attempts instead of attempt. Attempts equal to attempts plus 1. End if. So we will ask the password while this flag is 1. So flag is 1. I have a variable called flag, and it is set to 1. So while it is 1, so it will always 1, right? I will ask the user for entering the password. I store it inside the password variable. If the password is equal to correct password, which I have defined here, right, then set the flag to 0. Okay, if it is not, then increase the attempts. So you have attempted 1, 2, or 3, or multiple times, right? Over here, because this one also, we need to increase the attempts by 1, because imagine that this is the first time, attempts is 0, and the first time the user finds the password, so it should show the number of the attempts as 1. And here we have to exit from the loop end while, and I'm going to print how many times it took, right? Attempt, comma, attempts. Okay. All right, let's run this program. Let me copy this also here so I can copy paste that. Let's run it. I have a mistake on line number 12. Ah, yes. So in the conditions, in the while and loop do conditions, if you are using equal is wrong. You have to use double equal. Okay, it's a comparison. It is not assignment. Okay, see, you see, this is a very common mistake. If you use one single equal, means you are assigning a value to a variable. If you want to compare a variable with a value, you have to use double equal. You have to use equal. Okay, and you see here it's very easily you can fall in this trap, as I just fell inside this trap. And here, if password is equal, I have put this correctly. Here I have one equal, which means that this input, whatever I'm getting from the user, I'm storing it inside a variable called password. Okay, but the while, all the condition, whenever you're putting a condition, even if in the if then statement or while or do until, the conditions, you should use double equal signs. Okay. All right, let's run this now. Please enter the password. I enter Bob. Again, it will ask me the password because the password was wrong. I put something else. Again, I put something else. I put something else. Now here I want to put the correct password. So GVW0. Now the password was accepted and total attempts was 5. Let's count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in the 5th attempt, I found the password. Now let's run it again with only 1. So I enter the password GVW0, and it says the attempts was 1. In here also we could print the password is correct or incorrect, right? So that's password correct. And let me delete this. And in here, if the password is incorrect, we print password incorrect. It says password incorrect. Again, password is incorrect. And if I enter the correct password, GVW0, now it says password is correct and total attempt was 3. So these are the kind of questions that you may get it a lot in the GCSE exam or other exams, and they will ask you to keep asking user for some information until user enters something, until user enters 0, until user enter the correct password, until something. So you don't know how many times you have to repeat or keep asking user for this information. So you will use a method or technique like this, using a flag. This is very easy to use, and using these flags, you can use it with any type of the question. You just create a flag, set the flag to 1, okay? But remember, always you must have a method of changing that flag to something else, okay? If you don't have this part, that loop will run forever. It's an infinite loop. Okay, because the flag will be always 1. You need to set it, change the value of that flag to at some place in the program. Okay, so this was another example. Let's see. Let's continue in our lesson from here. All right, so this was the two exam type of questions that we did for doing the keep asking for a value, storing that, and also doing some calculations of the total and exiting based on the total value. We did another example of the password. So these are the type of the question, the basic type of the question you may get during the GCSE exam. That was all about the condition control iteration, or while and do until loops, and I will see you in the next lesson.